I've spent hours and hours studying Duolingo's business model. And you know what? It's smarter than you might think. So in this video, I'm going to break it down into 15 building blocks using the business model canvas and the value proposition canvas, so you can see it clearly and decide what parts of it you want to take and apply to your own company. The first building block is customer segments. There are nearly 2 billion people around the world trying to learn a foreign language. And of those, 135 million use Duolingo every month at least. And of those, nearly 12 million of them are paid subscribers to the app. So for customer segments, we can say that Duolingo's main customer segment is global language learners. The second building block is value propositions. Now, this is just a fancy way of saying, what do you promise to do for your customers? And in this case, it's simple. Duolingo offers free, fun language learning. Stick around because we're going to go into more detail into the value proposition later on in the video. The third building block is channels. These are the touch points that you have with your customers. And for Duolingo, most of the interaction happens on the app. The next building block is customer relationships, and I think it's the most important one because it describes the type of interaction that you have with your customers and how do you get customers, how do you keep customers, and how do you grow customers. In this case, for Duolingo, of course, because it's an app, it's an automated relationship that's completely self-service. The other thing that's important here for Duolingo is how they retain their customers, because what they do is they enable you to get streaks when you come back again and again every day. And what that does is it makes you build a daily habit. So that daily habit is a really important tactic that they use to retain their customers. And the way they use data is really, really clever. We're going to look at that in more detail when we get to the key resources building block. The fifth building block is revenue streams. As I said earlier, about 135 million people use the app each month. Now, they don't need to pay to access the app initially. They can try it, and if they like it, they can keep using it for free. But of those 135 million, around 12 million choose to pay. Why do they do that? Because paying enables them to not have to see the adverts. And they get some additional functionality as well. So the model is called freemium. Number 6 are key resources. These are the things you need in your business to make it work every day. They could, for example, be human resources. They could be physical assets like machines or a factory. They could even be intellectual property. Something that really stands out to me is Duolingo's brand. Everybody knows it. My parents even use it and they hardly use any apps. So the brand is really, really powerful for them. An easy one is the app itself. Without it, this business wouldn't work. Of course, you can't have an app without the engineering and product teams, so they're really, really important too. Another thing that I'd add here is data. Data is really important because it drives their growth flywheel. Every day at Duolingo, they run experiments so they can make the app better. And a better app means that they're more efficient and have higher engagement, which means they get more organic word of mouth and they can grow the number of learners using the app. And more learners drives more subscribers, which allows them to keep investing in innovation, which means the product just gets better and better, they get more users, and they go round and round. Number 7 is key activities. These are just the things that you do every day to make sure that the company runs effectively. You don't need to put everything here, just the most important buckets. And for me, I think there are 2 big buckets here. The first one is course creation and content creation. And the second one is the actual product development itself. On both sides, as I said, they're running experiments to make sure that they're learning and improve the courses and the product every day. Number 8 are key partners. These are the people and organizations that you work with to be able to actually do your key activities and get the key resources that you need to be able to make this whole business model work. In this case, Duolingo works with universities and research institutes. They are real nerds about learning and they're trying to make the best possible app. That's why they collaborate with universities and do lots of studies so they can take the learning from those studies to make better courses and ultimately improve the app. A good business model connects all the building blocks together. For revenue streams, we said it was freemium. Now, if we've got 135 million users and most of those not paying, we need to make some money somehow because this is a business after all. And that's where the advertisers come in. They are a key partner that helps generate some revenue for the business. The ninth building block is cost structure. Now, there are three main costs here. Product development costs from building the product. You've got content costs from building the courses that sit inside the app. And then you've got the research costs coming from the universities running the studies to be able to make sure that they're creating the best possible learning experiences. I want to zoom into the cost structure and revenue streams just a minute using this Sankey diagram. I did some digging and I found a Q4 2023 letter to shareholders, and it broke down the revenue streams into the four main revenue streams. I'm using it from 2023 because after this they stopped sharing that breakdown. Now what we can see is that almost 80% of revenue comes from subscriptions. Only around 9% comes from advertising, but still useful to have for sure. English tests bring in around 7% of revenue. In-app purchases account for around 6%, and then other is less than 1%. So that gives you a really clear breakdown of how they're making and generating money. Now, on the cost structure side, I've put product development costs, content costs, and research costs. But what we can see is that all of that gets bundled into research and development, and that accounts for around 33% of their revenue. This diagram really helps us understand how's the money coming in and where is it flowing out. In the same way that we used the Sankey diagram to dive more deeply into the revenue streams and the cost structure, we can use the value proposition canvas to dive more deeply into the customer segments and value proposition building blocks. Duolingo serves a lot of different customers, but I want to focus on a very specific customer in a specific context, and that's when you're between tasks. You finish something, you're not quite ready to move on to the next thing, you're between tasks. So for building block 10, we're going to look at pains. These are the difficulties or frustrations that you're experiencing in that context of being between tasks. You're probably feeling bored, and you're very likely doom scrolling on Instagram or TikTok. Number 11 is customer jobs. These are the things that you're trying to get done in your work and in your life. And in this case, what you want to do is you want to feel productive. Next, we have gains. These are the desired results or outcomes that you're looking to achieve. And here, we want to be done in 5 minutes, and we want easy, quick wins. Number 13 is products and services. Here, it's the free mobile app. Number 14 are pain relievers. These are the things that enable you to alleviate or kill the pains that your customer has. So, lessons have a clear ending, which helps avoid doom scrolling. And it feels like a game, which helps you overcome the problem of being bored. Number 15 are the gain creators. These are the things that help you achieve your desired results. So here you have the bite-sized lessons, which help you get done in 5 minutes. And you get the instant validation of being able to complete your session and continue your streak, and also maybe get some XP in the process, which helps you achieve those easy wins. So that's Duolingo's business model. If you want another business model breakdown, you should watch this video next, where I break down Calendly's business model. They have a very clever way of getting new customers, keeping customers, and growing their customers, and I share it in this one. So watch that next, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. See ya.